What's up, nerds? Welcome to Chad's AV Workshop. I'm joined in the studio today by Craig Smith.
What's up, nerds?
Nice. And today we're going to be making our own Ethernet cables. Yeah! This is a Cat 6 Ethernet cable that I'm going to be working on today, but this method could be applied to any Ethernet cable that you like or any other kind of server cable or closed captioning cable or anything like that. So what you're gonna need is your own cable. You're gonna need these like cable clamp cutter things. This one clamps and it cuts and it splits and it splices, and it was like 25 bucks. And if you're gonna do lots of Ethernet cables, I highly recommend getting that. I like to use a pair of scissors. I feel like it's really helpful to cut the cable really cleanly. And the other thing that you're gonna need is the ends to the Ethernet cables. Now there's two types of ends to the Ethernet cables. There's a type of end where the cables come right out of the end, and those are a little bit more expensive. The type we're gonna be using today, the cable doesn't come out of the end, so you kinda have to cram everything in there. But it's still pretty workable, and it's cheaper. So you get more of these, but they can be a bit more of a pain in the bee's nest. So depending on the type of cable you're gonna make, there's different color combinations. Today we're making a Cat 6 cable, and for the most part, this cable is gonna go in a solid stripe pattern, and the colors pretty much follow each other except for the green and the blue cables. So the greens kind of are on the outside of the blue, but like I said, this is gonna be different for any type of cable that you make. So for the Cat 6, it goes striped orange and then orange, so oranges together, then striped green, and then in between the greens we have solid blue, striped blue, then our green cable comes back, then we have striped brown and brown. So you can kind of see how they work, but the cables are really tiny and they're really brittle, so it might take you a couple tries. But once you get it down, you're gonna be able to make as many cables as you like. And like even from this big pack, I could make, you know, tons of cables. So this is a really great skill to have. So I'm gonna show you how to do this in a close-up feature. If you just wanna skip right to the end and say goodbye to me, that's cool too. But if you wanna stick around and watch me frustratingly go through this, we're gonna do it. So let's start. All right, so you wanna make this cable as long as possible. We're gonna take our little slicers, put your cable in. I like a nice long length. It's just gonna help in the end. Give it a little twist around, and that's gonna cut this rubber casing off, exposing all the wires inside. You can see the wires are divided into the colors that they are, just like pool balls. There's one solid and one stripe of each color. Be pretty careful when you separate them because they can break really easily. And we're gonna cut this middle piece out. We're not gonna need that. Then we're gonna put our cables into this little housing, and we're gonna put the orange and the brown on either side with the green and the blue in the middle. So there's two little slots for the orange and the brown. And it's a really good idea to not unravel these until you've put them through those little spaces. Now that they're in their spaces, we're gonna start to unravel based on our pattern. So we wanna do the orange first, and we wanna have the orange stripe on the outside. And these can be kind of a pain. They really like each other, so just take your time. So we have our orange stripe and our orange separated right away. Next we need a green stripe, so kind of unravel this. And like I said, it's nice when they're long like this. It really helps separate them right away. Once they get short, they're almost impossible to work with. So keep them long for as long as you can. Next we have a stripy blue and a regular blue. Then we have that other green one that we talked about before. And the green is really split. And it doesn't love being split, so you gotta keep your eye on it. Get over here. Blue. There we go. So stripy orange. Orange. Stripy green. Come on, stripy green. Then blue, light blue, and then green. And then we're gonna have a stripy brown, and then a brown. You can kind of fan these out, but don't go overboard so that they don't break. And then once you find that color pattern, you're gonna try to get them as close as possible so that we can lock them in place. And if you have to kind of move them around, you just move them right around. Boom, boom. And there we go. It's pretty close. And now we're gonna cut them so that they fit into this little device. So there's a little notch on this that tells you which side is the bottom. So make sure that you put them in the right way, because if they're backwards, the cable isn't gonna work. So make sure that you know which way is the bottom. Make sure that you're following your chart. Double check your cables before you cut them. I think these are looking pretty good. Green, brown, get them snug. Then we need to cut them all to the exact same length before we put them in that little device. And this can be tricky too, because you're using I'm using my left hand to cut them, which doesn't seem like a big deal, but it can be annoying. And then we just cram them in, like so. Get them right to the end. Once they're crammed in there, as best you can, you're gonna put them into your Ethernet housing. And this is gonna be really your last chance to know where the colors are before you clamp it down. There's a little piece in here that's gonna clamp our wire in place too. So we really push everything as far forward as we can. Once that wire gets in there, that's gonna hold it in place too. That's looking pretty good. And we put them in our clamper. Like I said, you only got one shot at this, so make sure that you do a good job. Put it in there, push really hard, and give it the old clamp. Maybe one for good luck. And that's it. So there you have it. That's how you make your own Ethernet cables. I gotta say, it is incredibly easy to do once you've done the first one, and I bet yours was even easier than my experience. I'm sure you bought the more expensive plugs, like I told you to, and you're like, man, I'm never gonna go back from these ever again. If you feel like it was awesome and my video was helpful, let me know. Be like, I never could have done this without you. And if you felt like I could have done it without you, but I love the commentary, I love the motivation, give me some love, baby. Give me some love. I'll see you in the next one.